know a lot of our viewers have been following these two big trials as well. They're going on right now with a lot at stake. So for the second day now, jurors are deciding the fate of Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager accused of killing two people and injuring a third during a night of unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And then in Georgia, 3 men are standing trial. They are accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery, who was out jogging when video shows the men follow him, a scuffle, and finally shooting him. The prosecution rested its case yesterday, and today the defense will begin to call witnesses. So what is at stake in these trials? Well, Joy Reid went viral for what she said on her show last night. I want you guys to listen to this.
We begin the readout tonight with 2 cases, which will once again tell us where we are as a country. Whether armed, primarily white men can continue to take matters into their own hands and serve as judge, jury, and executioner legally under the law.
All right. So, Al, yesterday, you did kind of talk about, you asked Mark Eiglarsh, the attorney that was on our show, friend of our show, and in so many words, you were worried about precedent.
Right.
And I feel like that's exactly what Joy Reid was saying. History, but also precedent. Where does this mean for America going forward?
I mean, this is where we are. Are we in a place where somebody can say, hey, I'm worried about some buildings being destroyed in another state. So you get up from your bed, you get an AR-15, you drive across state lines, you kill 2 people, blow another one's arm off. And if you're exonerated from that, if you look at a young man jogging, say he might be a thief, you track him down and you shoot him in a turkey shoot kind of style assassination, allegedly, and you were exonerated, well, then that tells us where we are as a society, that that's something that you can do. So if any large protest breaks out, is this now protocol? Is this okay? Will I be exonerated under Kyle's law? Because that's really what's going to happen. So every case is different, but if you do allow these 2 people to walk, there are going to be future consequences for that, depending on who we're talking about.
Yeah, I think we make the case for this is all about vigilante justice. And are we allowing that to be okay in our world right now? Now, some people say Kyle Rittenhouse went there to protect his neighborhood. He was in self-defense.
That wasn't his neighborhood.
His father
Right.
lived in Kenosha, so he went back and forth between state lines. And again, I'm not representing or saying which side I'm in. I just want to be accurate about what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse. But when he went there to protect, some people are like, yeah, maybe that is okay if the place was such a crazy riot that they needed help. The only 3 people who got injured by a gun that day were from him. So how bad could it have been if you're the guy causing all the shootings? So look, I just don't think any random real person would say they'd send their 17-year-old with a semi-automatic weapon to be the police and pretend to be an EMT. That's a bad call, and I think he caused and provoked people. But what it is saying is, well, you know what? Vigilante justice, is that going to be on... Is that going to be the new rule of law, the Kyle's law, which they will brand, by the way? Or are we saying we have people in place for that, law enforcement?
When they say judge, jury, and executioner, they're exactly right. But who is the public? The judge and the jury now? Because if you say facts, and Tori, you corrected Al, and I hope that's correct, right? I heard that as well, that his father lived there. But by saying that, people automatically think you're taking the side of Kyle Rittenhouse,
very much
right?
So, right?
And you're just stating the facts. That's why I love that we had Mark on. He did a fantastic job of just stating the facts with no bias.
Right.
I don't believe jurors have no bias these days. I believe that the labels that you put on people, and for the rest of their lives, they're terrified. So if you hear something in that trial, and I'm not saying there is anything in that trial, to exonerate him and saying, I have a doubt that he might not have done what he did what he did, and I'm going to vote not guilty. Am I going to vote not guilty for the rest of my life, for fear that my name might get out in the media, for fear what people might do to my house, my community, my children? I don't know if I might say, listen, man, this guy's guilty because I wasn't there, I didn't do anything. I'm trying to do my civic duty, but now I'm scared for the rest of my life.
Afraid
if this gets out, I'm going to lose my job.
The court of public opinion, you feel like, influences either way.
Right, and
Right.
now all of a sudden the media and people outside are the jury and the executioner?
Well, this is like, and not to change subjects, but this is what we're talking about in terms of our poll workers. They are leaking their names. They are saying that they are stuffing ballots, and they are getting death threats. So we're seeing them step down at a large. It's the same thing.
Yes.
It's people. These are old people that count ballots at the middle school.
We might need to regulate how
people are driving past their house. This is what happens.
Just hit the nail on the head. I think, and I know that some people are going to say that's a slippery slope, but
I wonder.
And speaking of which, because there's speaking of vigilante vigilantism and protests.
And I want justice. Just I don't want
Of
that
course.
confused.
Yes.
I have to state that.
It's an angle,
I have to state that. I do.
I'm
Sorry,
glad
I didn't mean to cut you off. Yes.
But I just want our viewers to know, because we're talking about all of this, that another thing happened today that does fit within that same realm. The QAnon shaman. You guys all know who he is, right? Let's look at a photo. There he is. Remember him? His name is Jacob Chansley. He was sentenced to 41 months in prison for his role in the U.S. Capitol riot. So the Justice Department had asked the judge for a harsh sentence as a way to set an example. So is this fair? I mean, we all know what he did was wrong. Let's call it what it is. Is it fair to make him as an example, and why don't they apply that perhaps to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, just so we can make sure that when people protest, it's peacefully and vigilantism does not happen?
It's a good point to combine those two. I think for me, I was okay with the sentence. 3+ years plus for me was okay. He didn't assault a police officer. He did horrible, horrible things, and he's getting a sentence for it. At some point, though, you're right, this plays into, are we allowing vigilantes to create the discussion? And if so, are they now so influencing juries? And in that case, do we now have to have confidential jurors so that they can have an unbiased opinion? Because at this point, is the court of public opinion stronger than the court?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Eiglarsh, our attorney, who had zero bias, right, yesterday, he even agreed with that statement. He said, how could it not?
Yeah.
So what do we do moving forward?
Well, I would say this, Jeff. This is, the shaman is different in that they attacked Congress when it was in session. The vice president was there. All of Congress. I mean, they were really, that was our entire government that was under siege.
Absolutely.
And a few minutes away from. So that's a different thing. You can say that that's the essence of a coup. What Kyle Rittenhouse did was, like you said, if the next time the Blackhawks win the NHL Cup, if I go, this is crazy, people are going to break windows downtown, and I show up downtown with a couple sawed-off shotguns, is that okay?
Right.
You know, that's what I'm worried about.
And I don't want to conflate those. I don't want to conflate those at all.
But that's what a lawyer would do.
I want to come help you out and stand in front of the store and make sure people aren't breaking windows. Running around with an AK, storming the steps of our federal building. That's very much exaggerated as opposed to me helping Al out with his store.
Right.